folks. I think we're on. Hold on, I have to.
I hope we're on. We've had some technical difficulties.
Crazy technical difficulties lately. It's just been crazy. Yeah, look, there we are. Oh, I think we're coming on. I should say we're coming on live in. Okay, let's make sure we go live. There's a lag in it. I think we're on.
Let's get rid of this up here. That's interesting. There you go.
It says we're live.
It does.
So hold on. Well, we're going to act as if we're live because it's saying we're live.
Wow, that was
Look there.
That was a lot of fun.
Was that fun or no fun at all? I think it was. Oh, let's turn this around. We're using Ecamm now, and we have a new camera, which we're not satisfied with, so we might bring it back. But we're on live, believe it or not. Oh, hold on, Shannon, you're just going crazy here.
I'm just having a good time today.
Hold on, let me just make sure the chat is on. That's good. That's a good sign. There you go. We're on, believe it or not.
Glenn, hello.
Hi, Glenn. How you doing? We weren't here last week because it was Easter, and we thought.
Yeah, we thought perhaps people would want to be with family and friends over the long weekend.
Don't want to spend time with us. Like, we're just kind of hanging out. We had good company last week, but not till Saturday.
Yeah, it was nice to have your brother and your mom.
My mom came.
And Linda came, so that was nice to have the three of them.
Just hanging out.
Low key.
It was very, very low key. Everything's low key because we're always very, very careful with this COVID thing still hanging around us because we have two people in this house with autoimmune diseases. So we're just being a little extra careful. So there you go.
Hi, Billy.
Hey,
hi,
Billy.
Douglas. And hi, Paul. Good to hear that we're live here.
Nice to be out tonight. Nice to just kind of hang out a little bit. Shannon's been under the weather, just fighting a sort of a bug, but it wasn't COVID, and we're doing okay. We're just kind of hanging out. It's been a slow news week this week, so not a lot of things have been happening, but a lot of our older videos have been doing really, really, really well.
Yeah, it's nice to see it picking up speed again. For sure.
Stations is basically getting double the subscribers it did maybe 2 months ago, so that's kind of good news too. So we're just kind of hanging out.
We'll take it.
We thought we'd get dressed up tonight.
Yeah. Look at you looking all nice.
I wanted to match you.
I don't think I've seen you wear that.
I haven't worn this probably in 6 months. Yeah. But all my shirts are getting loose because I'm losing weight. She's got me on the keto diet.
And yes, we're keeping them hydrated because that can make you dehydrated.
It really does. It's crazy. We didn't expect it, but it's nice to be on tonight. We're getting look, we have the spa channel on. Our daughter loves the spa channel because it's very comforting and laid back for her.
I think the word we're looking for is calm. She likes things super calm.
She's autistic, so that's the
even
way it
if
goes.
we heighten our voices or we change our cadence, we just have to kind of keep it.
And guess what it's good for when I'm driving and someone cuts me off or someone is driving really, really slowly, which happens here in Moncton a lot. I have to stay calm and not raise my voice. Of course, we never beep the horn, like ever. I've done that once since I've been in Moncton, and we arrived here in August?
Yes. Mm-hmm. A hike with Mike. Hey, folks. Douglas says, feel better soon, Shannon. Thank you. Paul says, now we are losing hockey players as well as musicians.
Oh, Guy Lafleur, the Flower.
Yeah, Mike Bossy.
Yeah, Mike Bossy a few days ago, and Guy Lafleur today was announced, and all over Canadian news. You couldn't turn on a Canadian news channel without having a hockey player go on to talk about him. Ken Dryden was on today, of course, a teammate of his. Guy Lafleur won 5 Stanley Cups. That era of Montreal, there was so many different dynasty in the Montreal Canadian history, right? When you talk about the hockey team that won the most Stanley Cups easily is the Montreal Canadiens. No one's even close. So that says an awful lot. I was an Oilers fan and a Flyers fan, but the Flyers they had 2 Stanley Cup winning years with Bernie Pront and Bobby Clark, but they're still around. Bernie Pront seems pretty healthy. I follow him on Twitter.
Glenn says, bit of advice, don't pick on Mike Tyson if you're on a fight.
I saw that. The guy who was pestering him, and right off the bat, the stories were saying that he was he wouldn't stop talking to him. And at one point, Mike Tyson says, "Hey man, chill out, be cool." And it turns out the guy had a major, like a rap sheet like this for a whole bunch of different things. I think he was in jail for a year and a half. Like I'm just guessing, like half a year and then 15 months or something like that. I forget. So he went to prison twice, but his rap sheet is intensive. So he's one of those guys that, maybe doesn't know boundaries that well. Maybe has some problems with boundaries.
Hi, Gennaro. Hi, Art. Hi, John and Shannon.
Hey, Art.
Love from Scotland.
Hey.
Gennaro, greetings from Montreal, Quebec. Sad day for Montreal hockey fans.
It really was.
Yeah, Guy has passed away today, yes.
Like he was a real finesse player. A lot of people compared Wayne Gretzky to Guy Lafleur because of the way that he played hockey. He was always a really, really nice guy. I mean, Wayne Gretzky was that type of guy too. But today is really a Guy Lafleur day. I remember there was that album that was released in '79, the Guy Lafleur album. I forget what it was called, but I remember seeing it in the record stores. But he was the man. He really is.
Vicky says, what platform is the Spa channel on?
It's on Stingray. I think it might say Stingray, but it's probably too fuzzy for you because I can't even read it from our reflection here. It's a Canadian. It used to be a company that I worked for called NewCap, and then Stingray, who does all these channels. We listen to the rock channel a lot, and the rock video channel you had on the other day, which was really cool.
It's very nostalgic.
Which is owned by Bell Media, the company that I work for in radio. But yeah, it's Stingray Music. So if you're in the U.S., not sure if it's available or overseas.
Douglas says, congrats on the keto diet, John. About to start the same soon.
I found it easy. I find it incredibly easy. Shannon kind of eats on the keto diet, but she eats like other stuff too because she can't afford to. She's in perfect shape. Whereas I'm not a big guy, but I get a little tummy in the summertime and in wintertime, and it's not big. It's obviously, you can tell by the way I look, but I like to slim right down in the summer, and I walk a lot. But I have what's that thing I have? I have a Baker's cyst in the back of one of my legs, I think, again. So yeah, it screws up everything. But if you don't walk too much, you're okay.
Sue says, everyone hit the like button. Yes, thank you,
Thank
Sue.
you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
that. I always forget to mention that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and every single week we get on here, we'll get donations from people, super chats, and we appreciate that. We always say you don't have to because it's tough times for a lot of people. But they always say, why don't you mention that? And we're going, we don't really feel comfortable. And this is as much of a mention of that we'll ever say because, and we're still, plugging away at figuring out what we're going to do with Patreon. Or Patreon, as some people announce it. We've got a whole bunch of older videos we've put up, and we're going to do a lot of one-on-one chats and group chats once a week or twice a week, and talk about this kind of stuff, but also people stuff, get to know you a little bit.
Brandon says, good morning, John and Shannon.
Hey.
And Vicky says, yes, in the U.S. we'll look around. That's for the...
Everyone has a version of that on their cable package, but I think a lot of people, I don't know why. I sit down. I'm like you, Shannon. If she sits down, she'll start getting tired. Look, I have all this light on this side, and I look like I'm an old bastard on this side. Meanwhile, you look great on all sides. What are you gonna do?
No, maybe we should change spots. It might just be the light.
No, it's not going to help me.
We've got all the lights on in the whole place.
It's not. So. Yeah, it's not going to help me too much. I don't know. Shannon, you look good in all lights, so there you go.
Thank you. Douglas says, yes, do consider Patreon, John. I'll subscribe if you do.
Thank you. We're definitely going to do it. Now with Chase working at Costco, we've really fallen behind in a lot of our interviews. But luckily, I'm starting to catch up a little bit. And like the Mike Reno interview took us forever to get done. And then we interviewed Pete Agnew and a lot of rock authors in the last week. We're still trying to get Ann Wilson. I'm not sure if I'll get Ann Wilson, but I've told them on the list. So I hope, she's talking to everybody. So I'm not sure why she wouldn't talk to us. But, Pat Benatar, I've reached out to her, and Neil Giraldo. not heard anything back. But we've got a few big ones coming up, which is good.
Brandon says, can you give some insight as to why bands have these petty disagreements in which tarnishes the band? For example, Van Halen, Yes, and Triumph.
Money and fame. You know the answer to that. You'll say, oh, I knew that. And you did. It's money and fame. A lot of artists say, when the money starts coming in, they start going and they go, people fight over things all the time. Or one artist, and Peter Cetera, God, I just sit down here and start getting tired. I've been going all day.
Literally, you've been just running around.
When Peter Cetera started becoming the focal point of Chicago, even before David Foster came in, I'm sure the other members probably had a problem with it. We've all grown in some ways where I kind of taught myself, and Shannon's very much like that, is when something good happens to people, we go, good for you. I don't know. I don't really get jealous for people. I really usually go, when other presenters who do what I do well, I'm always going, well, that's good energy. I want someone to wish me well, But in bands, sometimes it's hard when you work just as hard as that person, then that person gets all the... And then if that person writes the hits, then they're getting more money. They're the ones being interviewed.
So Art says, your thoughts on Rush, Moving Pictures. Did you dig it back in the day?
Oh, I
Got
loved
my
it.
40th anniversary copy.
Yeah, George Strombo did an interview with them. I was told they weren't doing an interview, but George is a leading voice in Canadian TV for rock and roll. So if anyone deserves it, if you're going to give it to one person, I'd give it to him as well. And he did a good job, and he knows the guys. He really does know the guy. We're doing a thing on Envy of None, the Alex Lifeson group album with Andy Kern. We interviewed Andy Kern, who's in the band with Alex Lifeson. And we're going to do a track by track this week. We did it 2 weeks ago. We're just going to do it because we've been too busy with other projects. And Chase is working at Costco. Damn. We're happy for him, though. He loves the job. He loves working at Costco.
Hey, Brother hopped on. Good evening to a fantastic couple. Thanks,
Hey.
Charles. I hope you're
Chucky.
recovering nicely from your knee surgery.
Yeah, he had that to scrape inside of his knee or something. And then he was on his knee. He's a trooper. He was on his knee. Like right away, I'm going, wow. But he still has to be careful.
Fraser, hey, John and Shan. Hope you guys are both well. John, what was the fallout between the last Toto lineup, especially Luke and the bass player? I remember seeing the drummer on the Dukes of September tour.
Shem Von Schreck. I talk to Shem on a regular basis. I haven't talked to Luke in a while. I haven't talked to Steve P. We call him Steve Porcaro in a little bit, but I can't really go into it. I know that there was a lot of problems between Shem and Lukather, but I'm not sure why. Shem doesn't seem to have a problem when I talk to him, but Luke seems to have a problem with Shem. As you can tell, I'm choosing my words very carefully. And there was a lot of intense stuff also with that last tour with the two Steves backstage. So, and they have their differences, but maybe Steve Porcaro will go into it a little bit more. I don't think I'll get a chance to talk to Luke about that. But I hope to talk to Joseph Williams around the corner. And David Paich is working on an album, so I hope to talk to him.
Brandon says, I know what you mean. It just seems a real shame when such great acts go down the toilet over that stuff.
Very
he says,
true.
Thanks for your answer. And Hike with Mike says, nothing ever stays as pure and fun when a band first starts and everyone is hungry, then fame hits and the relationships begin to fray.
Yeah. It's just so much. And, you've heard me say this many times. If I would have been Justin Bieber, I would have probably died that first year. I wouldn't have been able to handle that kind of stuff. The small bit of notoriety we get here is just this, the amount that will make you feel good about your work. We don't go buy our cabbage and someone recognizes us, so we don't understand that kind of stuff. And radio guys really don't. And if they pretend they do, they have to be living in LA or something, or be a jock from the 50s and 60s when DJs were big. We say this line, and I've been at the radio station I work at in Vancouver, which is across the country because I do it online, that we used to have, I've been there since 1990. And we have this saying of an old guy phoning us up and saying, I've been listening to you for 30 years and I still hate you. That's basically.
That's exactly what you want, though, right?
Yeah. Well, keep on hating me. Thanks for listening. Sorry. That's the headset from the microphone. No, so I don't know. It's too much. It's too hard on the ego. The most dangerous thing you could have in life is get everything you want. And then you're still left with your own devices and your own angst and your whatever you were born, this unresolved issues with your dad, your mom, your preacher, whoever it might be. That doesn't solve any of those things. It's just a layer of lots of money and room for excess. And I'm not telling any of you guys anything you don't know. You know that.
Gennaro says, Guy Lafleur had 1,246 points and holds the franchise and played 961 games with the Habs.
Thank you.
Whoa. That's
yeah. I mean, even I wasn't a Habs fan by then. Like when I moved away from home in 79, I was still a big Flyers fan. But I was in Edmonton in 79, so that's the only place I lived where there was an NHL franchise that I decided to be a fan of the local professional NHL hockey team. Edmonton. I was never a Canucks fan when I lived in Vancouver, never. I was never a Calgary Flames fan when I lived in Calgary. It stopped with Edmonton, and I still have a soft spot for the Flyers. So I don't really watch hockey that much anymore. I get too stressed out over it. I get all stressed and go, come on. And her cousin is married to Matt Cook, who played with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Matt, as much as he has a terrible reputation on the ice, was actually a really nice guy in person. All I can talk about is how he treated us, and he was really nice. His wife's a little testy, but anyway.
Showstopper Rob, remember Wolfman Jack?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. We were just listening to Don't Call Us, We'll Call You from Sugarloaf today, which I'm not sure if that's really Wolfman or somebody else. Hit the Road Jack with the Stampeders, which has the real Wolfman Jack, and Clap for the Wolfman with the Guess Who, which has Wolfman Jack. And, of course, American Graffiti and his hosting his own show across the country, and him being a monumental DJ and with one of the most recognizable voices of all time. Very distinctive. That's the word I was looking for.
Lucinda says, hi, Shannon and John.
Hey.
Michael says, do you enjoy living back east now?
We love it.
Yeah.
I kind of got, I was driving today, and I kind of got for the first time kind of maybe what you felt when you first moved here, which was, this is really kind of small town-ish.
Right.
But I was driving today. I forgot to tell you when I got home. And Shannon did something today she never does, is take a nap. She never takes a nap, like ever. I told her, no, we work out of our home now. You have the luxury, and if you feel a little sleepy, just go for a nap. We don't sleep long, we're not big nappers in this family. But it's hard for Shannon because she's a real A personality, and she likes to keep going. We have too much of the TV on here. Yeah, anyway. A lot of TV.
Doc B, Envy of None is terrific. It's almost like the 90s, new wave, and almost like cyberpunk rock.
Well, the first song on the album, notice there's a couple of songs on there that are very, very almost popish. I like their singer. I like the fact that it doesn't sound, but there's one or two songs that have slight Rush feel to it. I had to learn the songs or know the songs before I talked to Andy Curran. He told me in the middle of the interview, well, I can tell you've listened to the album. I said, well, I wouldn't dare talk about the songs unless I listened to the album, but yeah.
Sonia Flower says, well,
hey, Sonia.
Look at what Johnny Depp is going through after having everything he wanted.
Oh, my God.
So
well, there's stuff on each side, and I think that, obviously they did mean things but you're hearing so many negative things towards her more so than him. It's interesting because there was someone, I don't know who the big actor was about a year ago, who said something like, most people who would be involved with her she would bring out the worst in you. But relationships bring out the worst in, we both look back at some relationships we had where I look back and I go, oh, I could have been a nicer guy in that relationship. Luckily, I'm friends with all my exes except one. And she's friends with a few of them too. So.
Well, I always say, you know what? It always brings you to where you are now.
Yeah.
So unless you went through all those experiences, some good, some not so good, you kind of feel like you're coming full circle.
Yeah. I don't know if we would have recognized each other if we had met each other maybe at that Don Henley concert where you went with Roy and I went with Andrea. We were sitting across from each other and the stage was there. I was here and you were on the other side because she told me where she was. I said, you were in the middle? Yeah. Where was the stage? Remember? Where was the stage? Were you? And you said, well, it was on my left-hand side.
And it was the same night. And
yeah. And we were both at Don Henley with our then partners. Not great relationships. I'm sure they're great people. And they're not great. They weren't great people with us and we weren't great people with them. So I'll speak for myself. I wasn't that. I think you were probably nicer in the relationship than I was in that.
Oh, I think as being younger, probably up and down and probably wishy-washy from me. Philip says, it's the Shannon show. Hi, John. Good one. That's good. That is good.
Shannon's going to start doing shorts with us and to let us know where, because she says you should do shorts. I'm going, I don't want to do shorts. And she says, well, let me do the little shorts where I'll say, hey, what's coming up today? Like what she's the 80s stuff. She's going to start introducing the 80s videos and I'll come on and I'll interview them. And I've told her, why don't you just we're working on Kenny Loggins again because of his book. Why don't you interview Kenny Loggins? She says, I'm not ready for that. I'm going, okay. I'm sure you'd be fine. He already called you a pretty lady when he saw you on screen there because Shannon came downstairs to say hi. I said,
he's very sweet.
I said, Kenny, she's never done this. She's never come downstairs to say hi to anybody, but she's saying hi to you. He said, well, that's...
Because he's like so much in my era. So it was like I had to come and say something.
He really is.
Do you hear the background noise on here?
Oh, I can turn it down. But that lets you know someone's saying, hey, how's it going? Can you guys still hear us? Please tell me you still can hear us.
Art says, life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Yay. That's true.
Paul says, hoping Toto will play at Rama. Saw them in 2019 there.
They're working on something right now. I'm not sure what it is. I haven't talked to the guys in 3 months, and I'm just working on other people right now. We've tried to talk to a few of my friends. Tried to get Luke, but Luke had told one of my friends, Lori, he said, well, I'm kind of retired doing interviews. I think Luke speaks his mind. That's why sometimes he gets in trouble. He just says and he means what he says. He just, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and that makes a good interview. But sometimes he might regret saying something. But I think he's a very real guy. That's why he's still one of the best interviews I've ever done.
Hike with Mike says, I was waxing nostalgic about the many times I could call a local DJ and dedicate a song to my future wife. Do radio stations still do that?
I used to host a show called Love Songs, but unfortunately, because it was taped, and the show's been taped for quite a few years, but they keep it that way because the ratings are really, really good. And I think at that point, they liked having a gentleman, and I use the term loosely when I say gentleman, host a show called Love Songs. It was always a woman, right? So for whatever reason, it worked with me hosting that show. But it helped. I'm a psychology junkie. I read a lot of books on love. I certainly know the human condition, I think more than I did years ago. And I wouldn't preach too much, which is a thing that a lot of those love shows do. And now it's just a regular evening show. And while I was doing that show, I became a program director of a other radio station that's not even owned by the same company, a music director, a morning show host, an afternoon drive host.
You were so busy.
I was really busy.
That was way before all this kind of...
Owned by this company here, Stingray. Stingray owns them now. That was New Cap. So I was on the air in Calgary doing all this stuff, and I was still on the air in Vancouver working for an entire different... I was making really, really good money with that.
And you were really, really, really busy.
Yeah.
Douglas says, what are your thoughts on tribute bands?
I don't go to them. I thought we were thinking of going to the Elvis thing. There's this Elvis thing that's touring.
I think there's one coming up for ABBA. I would go see that just because it's fun.
I think with bands like that, you can. You know?
I think I'm just missing going to see any bands because I think at this point it's like, oh, anything sounds good.
Well, the Rock and Roll Circus in Miramichi, that Kim Mitchell's doing that this year, so we'll probably go to that. I could probably get tickets from Kim Mitchell, so I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We haven't. James Taylor and Jackson Browne were coming, but I've seen James before. Now listen, we do okay on YouTube, but we have to be careful because YouTube, if the World War III breaks out, people ain't going to be watching rock and roll videos, right? So we just have to be cautious with what we spend our money on.
Dan says, hi, John and wife Shannon. Hi, Dan. Danny says, hi, Shannon, John. What do you think about WKRP in Cincinnati? It was largely based on my favorite 1970s Atlanta, Georgia station, WQX.
There is a video on YouTube called The Real Story Behind Turkey's Drop, or The Story Behind Turkey's Drop. I did that for our sister station, Nail Sheet. And so I did this big thing on it. It used to be my favorite show because, of course, since grade 6, I wanted to be a radio announcer. Someone should have told me, the money is not that great. The only time I made money is when I was the morning show host and I was a program director. It's the only time I made actually real money. It was damn good money. So I always watched the show and I liked it. I'm thinking, and I've said this before, of interviewing Gary Sandy, who played the program director. He'd be a great interview.
Gennaro says, Lucy Thomas released a new song on YouTube in the last 9 days, and it's done really well. Has over 300,000 views. Good.
Yeah, that's a following.
Getty says, hi, John and Shannon. Did not hear Jerry Doucette on the radio living in Saskatoon in the early 1980s, but Doucette was very popular on CHOM-FM.
Shom.
In hometown Montreal.
Yeah, Montreal. Well, I find it hard that they wouldn't have played him in Saskatoon. That might have been the radio station you were listening to. That was an anomaly because he was being played across the country. I said this before in the local radio station, which is an hour and a half from here where I grew up. We'd hear the top 100 of the year. And this might have happened to some of you guys. When you hear the top 100 of the year and you go, well, it's the top 100. This is only a fraction of the songs that were played on the radio that year. And then you'd go, what's that song? I've never heard that. Or I've never heard that song. Why is that? Well, your local radio station didn't play it. That's why you never heard it. And that could happen, but I find it weird that someone wouldn't play Mama Let 'Em Play by Doucette. A lot of you guys are going, who is that? It was just a good old-time rock and roller. Had similarities to Bryan Adams, but more Bob Seger-ish. Just good old-time rock and roll. Good bar band rock and roll. Yeah.
Hi, Surfer Boy. Good evening,
Boy.
John, Shannon, all from Boston. Putting Mom to bed. She's 96 and listening to you.
Wow. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Geez, soon we'll meet my well, I don't know. My mom's at 86, 87 going strong. It's still the same woman that brought me up. It's still her. She still sounds like herself. It never stops.
Sonia says, have you two ever dressed up as Sonny and Cher for Halloween?
No.
No, we have never.
No. And no, I haven't dressed up as that superhero, just to be clear, because that would make me look silly. Chase has, though. Chase was Iron Man. I was Batman. I don't know what else I did. Dr. what?
Oh,
Felt a lot.
Oh, I can't remember.
We got this Halloween thing.
Oh, it was so funny.
Yeah.
I can't.
Felter Snatch?
No.
Something like that? No, it was something weird.
Okay, moving on. Glenn, were either of you Bob Welsh fans?
Yeah, I had I loved Sentimental Lady, Hypnotized by Fleetwood Mac. I liked him in Fleetwood Mac. I like that version of Fleetwood Mac, actually.
And 919 for Rage. What about the VH tribute tour?
The Van Halen doesn't have the voice to do it. She's got the chops, but Van Halen fans, I don't think, relate to Pink. And it's not a time to test the waters for that. But that's just, I think he's just talking out of his Kahootie.
Oh, probably just wants to stir something up, right?
Stir the pot.
Totally.
Stir it good.
Fraser J says, Kenny Loggins, my hero. I can't wait for the interview. I love the last one. Leap of Faith is a masterclass of his.
I've got to get on that. I know his publicist. I've really got to get on that. There's a whole bunch of them. Bruce Hornsby. I'm not sure if I'm on the... I don't know how I would have gotten on the naughty list for Bruce Hornsby. I've interviewed him twice. But for the last 7 albums, I've tried to get an interview. And I mean, really, we're going to be hitting 100,000 subscribers in a few months. We're not exactly... I mean, we've worked really hard on that. Thanks, Annie. And he was talking to people with like 100... At one point, he talked to someone with like 300 subscribers. And there's nothing wrong with that, but why wouldn't he talk to us? I don't know why. And he's one of my favorite artists of all time, so my feelings are hurt. Okay.
Derek Barry says, John, you must have known Terry David Mulligan.
My favorite Terry David Mulligan story is when he moved to Vancouver, or back to Vancouver, or moved into our building at West 2nd just by Mushroom Records, where Hart and Doucette recorded their stuff in Chilliwack. He came upstairs with an old turntable, and it was really, really heavy, and he was holding something else. And I said, well, let me help you with that. I said, hey, Terry, it's John Beaudin. We met at Much Music in Toronto a few years ago when I was syndicating the Cross Canada Report across the country. Hey, John, nice to meet you again, man. That's great. So then he had an office upstairs. And the only thing that, it's not a big deal because I wasn't in the office an awful lot, but he never remembered my name. Never. And I remember going, this is one of the guys that influenced me in radio. Like him and the guy at Show'em, who's the guy that he helped start classic rock, Doug Pringle, the British guy. And I had a chance to tell Doug Pringle that he influenced me highly because neither one of them had radio voices, and I knew I didn't have a radio voice. So I thought, it's a little more whiskey-soaked now because of whiskey. And I smoked for 2 years, so it's not smoking. Long quit. So anyway, Terry David Mulligan never remembered my name, ever. I thought of tracking him down and interviewing him, and one of these days I might. But
chances are that just wasn't his thing.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he seemed really nice. It seemed like incredibly, incredibly nice. He seemed incredibly nice. And yeah, there's only one broadcaster in Vancouver I met. I met him in an elevator, a sports guy, I forget his name. He was so rude. Oh, I'll have to remember his name next time because I don't mind just dishing on the guy because he was just rude. I said, hey, man, how's it going? And he's just standing there in the elevator when I lived 20 floors up, on Beach. And I'm going, you're going to ignore me? What the hell? So that just, I told him in the elevator, I says, you're blankety blank rude. What the hell? Who do you think you are? Anyway, there you go.
VE9 EMS, hello from Shediac. That's really close
to Shediac.
Us. Hey.
I just woke up.
Showstopper Rob, John and Shan, I've understood you will do some new interviews, including Hart. We did also interview...
we don't know if we're getting Hart.
We did also interview a lot of artists for TV. We'll send you a link with some snippets.
Oh, I'd love to see it.
Thanks.
Yeah, please. Who's the channel?
Showstopper Rob.
Oh, cool. Yeah, please.
Gennaro.
Let me write that down.
Press the like button, please.
Thank you.
Please. Thank you so much. We always appreciate that.
Let me write that down.
Lucinda says, now that COVID numbers are going down, the numbers of bands touring is almost overwhelming. Because everyone's just wanting to get back out there and just get
I'm
right
writing
back
this down,
into it.
Oh, it just came up. I don't know why it just came up. Does it hear us talk?
Sonia says, I'm going to see MC5 next month.
Oh, cool. Yeah. They were nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame over and over again. And it made a lot of people look them up and say, oh, wait a minute, I missed that one. Then they go, oh, I know that song. Yeah.
Rock child of the 60s. John, do you remember Wolfman Jack? I used to pick up his station out of Mexico when he was sticking it to the FCC here in the States, LOL.
Oh, yeah. It's I think most broadcasters, especially guys who have been doing it as long as me, we all know Wolfman Jack, and Rick Dees and all the big DJs from the U.S., especially the syndicated guys we listen to. And I was influenced by even people like Gary Owens. Because Gary Owens talked like this and really inflected. I was influenced by a lot of people who inflect. Over-inflect sometimes.
Danny says, would love to hear a Gary Sandy interview.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I think I'll reach out. Maybe he'll say, you made Joyce DeWitt cry, John Beaudin. I did. Remember, I was not supposed to talk about John DeWitt. John Ritter, John DeWitt. And I said, oh, okay. I didn't say I wouldn't ask, but I can't interview her on the air and not ask about John Ritter, who had just died a month or two before. So,
Gennaro says, what is your opinion of the Dave Clark 5?
It was a lot, there was a lot of bands from that era, the Hollies and the bands coming out of there. See, the Beatles, you couldn't escape, right? But Dave Clark 5 is a band that I didn't get into till I started doing oldies stuff at CFUN, which was a big oldies, like a monumental oldies channel or radio station in Vancouver. But there were a handful. Like all of a sudden I went back and because, for instance, the Hollies especially, and that's what made me really explore because I went, oh no, the Hollies didn't start with The Air That I Breathe. I knew they were an old band. But then you start going, oh, I know Bus Stop, and so.
Mike says yes. Your wife looks like a young Liv Tyler, and you know who you look like. LOL.
Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi. I remember when, because you can look at comments and a lot of things you leave on because you think it's so funny.
I think they're funny.
But what did that person say? You were a mixture between Steve Buscemi and
Patton Oswalt.
And Steve Buscemi
and Robert Downey Jr. If Steve Buscemi, Patton Oswalt, Robert Downey Jr. had a child, it looked like you. And then this week it was so great. This week was the funniest. I was doing a live broadcast, I think, on Van Halen. And some guy says, oh, look at this guy. He's a wannabe broadcaster trying to sound like a broadcaster. And I'm going, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm just going to leave it there. Obviously, he didn't. He hated me, so he wasn't going to Google me. So I thought, no, let's just leave that one there. Let's just leave that comment just by itself. Because you don't get, Again, some people just don't like your face. They just don't. I don't think I've heard that about you. Everyone seems to love your face. But for me, it's sometimes you go on there and you'll go, if you're a little cocky or too comfortable in your skin, they just don't like you. And they can't help that. I don't you watch videos sometimes and you go, I don't like that. I don't know why I don't like that. There's that helpful guy. He does helpful tips on how to get more viewers. And in the beginning of his videos, every one of his videos, he'll go, howdy, howdy, howdy. And I'll go, stop doing that. That's so annoying. But he does it, and that's the way it goes. But he's great at what he does. I usually fast forward till after he says, howdy, howdy, howdy. I'm going, holy moly, that's annoying. But that's his thing, I guess. So sometimes you say stuff, and people are annoyed by it. It's going to happen.
Rock Child of the 60s, congratulations on the 100,000K.
Oh, we're not there
when
yet.
It happens, that is.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So
don't want to say too much.
No, so hopefully when that does happen, you can hop on with us and
yeah, we'll celebrate.
Celebrate for sure. Let me.
Jesse Cook celebrated on stage. The flamenco guitarist who was on the Nara label.
Is that what he did?
He went on stage and he filmed if you look up Jesse Cook.
Great idea.
And you look up Jesse Cook 100K. It's such a great video. He's on stage doing this show. And he's got 100. Well, when I talked to him 2 weeks ago, he had 107,000. And he said he got his plaque pretty quick.
Wow.
Because I've known Jesse for a lot of years. I've interviewed Jesse. Actually, Jesse Cook might be the guy I've interviewed the most. I don't know. So So he's got his phone. He's got the crowd. He says, "Hey, guess what? We just hit 100." I thought that was so cool. And I told him that we talk Final Cut Pro. We talk shop a lot when I talk to Jesse Cook.
The Keyboard Chronicles. I wonder if there are any good books on those broadcasters during the 70s and 80s. The stories.
There's tons of books. Your father gave me a few when he'd see them at Value Village. There's a good book, by the way, on Capitol Records. A great book on Warner Brothers Records. This is connected. I'll have to bring out the one on Warner Brothers. It's really good. But it's kind of a coffee table book at the same time. It's a big book.
DJH Record Hound. Good evening, John and Shannon. Hi. This is a nice break from spinning vinyl. Wolfman Jack was on the X that ZZ Top sang about.
Yeah. There's the story, I think, on the Stampeders, if I remember correctly, the story is Ronnie King of the Stampeders, the Canadian band, met Wolfman Jack at the airport. He just told me this like a month ago. And then this big burly man comes in between Ronnie King, who's one of the singers. Well, they all sang in Stampeders. And he says, "Hey man, Wolfman, I'm so and so. I know so and so." And it turns out Wolfman Jack knew who the Stampeders were. But anyway, we'll present that video. I'm waiting to talk to Rich Dotson. I'm hoping to get him. You can't really do a Stampeders thing without talking to the guy who wrote more of the hits than the other two guys.
Uncle Elmer, I like the Dave Clark 5, but from what I have read, Dave got most of the money, and the band were hired players.
Yeah.
Showstopper Rob, The Air That I Breathe is written by Albert Hammond.
Yep, Albert Hammond,
He released it 3 years earlier.
Yep.
Boomer the Movie, have you heard The Struts?
I think so. I don't remember. I think there's a lot of. Is that one of the newer bands from the last 10 years? God, if I don't know. I can't know for sure.
Danny's asking, any chance getting an interview with Peter from the Herman's Hermits?
I've tried Peter Noon. Yeah, I've tried. He does a live stream like every couple of days or almost every single day. And I've even said in the live stream, "Hey man, Rock History Book, John, I've sent you a message." And after a while, you just go. Speaking of the British invasion, after you just go, he would rather just do his live thing, and that's okay,
Dave says, "John, you're much better looking than Steve Buscemi.
I hope so.
Not that I look at dudes, but he needs to get his teeth fixed. Yet he has made millions."
Is that right? Does he have bad teeth?
Wait, yeah, I believe he does.
I didn't know that. Wow. But that's part of this.
Right, it's part of his spiel.
He always looked like someone just kicked him in the schmuckahoolies. No, I can't even do it. I can't do it. I don't know what he does.
Oh, it's too funny. Gennaro said Jesse Cook played at the Montreal Jazz Festival. Great show.
Yeah.
He does put on a good show.
I've seen him. Well, we've seen him the first time we were trying to start a video channel with New Adult Contemporary, the Narada Wyndham Hill stuff, with a guy named Wyatt Kavanaugh. I forgot his name. We haven't spoken to him in so long. And Wyatt wanted to get it going, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't happen with him. Now we work with his wife, Kelly, and they're doing really well. I haven't checked her out in a while, but yeah, they're doing really well.
Michael, being from Detroit, did you ever experience WRIF and Arthur Penhallow? A legend
No.
for decades behind the mic.
We used to listen to WKBW, WPTR, New York, Buffalo, Albany. That's the stations we could pick up. So WKBW and WPTR, Shotgun Johnny Ringo at night. Crazy man. I don't know whatever happened to him, but he was one of my favorite DJs because he was crazy. He was just an insane evening guy.
Norm, hello, John and Shannon. What happened to the Canadian band Rabbit?
They weren't very big, so I don't really know. But I barely remember the name, so I can't even tell you. One of those that fell through the cracks for me.
Fraser J says, John, I'm emailing you some great Kenny Loggins albums.
Oh, cool. I've got every. You don't have to, because I've got every Kenny Loggins album. I think I've said this before. When I was a program director for almost 3 years here in Calgary, the program directors, we'd send each other music all the time. So I have like a mofo hard drive of music that we were always using for our specials, because we always wanted an arsenal of a lot of music. And when at the last minute we didn't want to have to like look for something. So I've got every Kenny Loggins album. So, but thank you.
The Dreamers hopped on. The Dreamers Life. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Rockchild of the 60s. John, you ever heard about the 2 morning DJs in Denver that hassled some Muslims at a mosque right after 9/11? Guys named Dean Myers and Roger Beatty.
Oh, that's a long time ago. I'm not sure if that's the same story I remember, but there were, the zany morning crew thing. I was just a little bit, when I did mornings, I was just a bit more, when J-Lo and Mark Anthony had a baby, they had the twins, remember? I remember it was on my air checks, probably why. But anyway, I was more, so-and-so just had baby twins last night. Interestingly, neither one of them can sing a note. Like I'd go because I never really thought, I never thought J-Lo was really a musician. I still don't consider her a musician. I don't know what, she's a celebrity. Mark Anthony was a singer, but I never liked his music. And Mark Anthony always looked like he had died 3 days before the picture was taken. The guy never, I don't know, he always looked emancipated. Why was he like that?
I think it's just his frame.
He always looked like he had been dead for a few hours before the shot ticked. Weekend at Bernie's.
DJ H Record Hound got a very rare 45 copy of Carry Me by the Stampeders. It's an American promo on Polydor, but they quickly had changed to Bell.
No kidding. Wow. Cool. Could be worth something.
Richard says, hi guys. Hey Richard. Showstopper Rob, do you agree that hard rock started with the Kinks? For example, You Really Got Me.
You Really Got Me.
Later covered by Van Halen.
Yeah, there's so many arguments about that, because then you're dealing with other bands that you'll never get the real answer. But as far as popularity, yeah, because I'd say so. But then they say, metal started with Helter Skelter. Was there heavy stuff before that, right? By the Beatles.
Dwayne hopped on. Hey, hello everyone. The Dreamer's Life. What was the hardest thing about being a program director, please?
Dealing with people and having to, everything that comes out of the box is your job. That's what a program director's job is, to make sure that everything that comes out of the box, the radio, if something goes wrong, it's your responsibility. And I thought I wanted to be a program director. I ended up working with a general manager that was on some levels very easy on me. But personally, I started seeing things in him, and I'm sure he did with me too. We just didn't mesh. We were just two very different people. He really wanted to make it work, and he was a good man. But the problem with him is when he got mad at someone, he was mad at them forever. He never changed his mind. So I kind of went, what? Someone does something wrong. I didn't have problems firing people. I had someone who went on and who was half Asian, who mocked someone who was Asian on the air in the morning show before I did it. And I remember walking into the control room and saying, "You're gone. You're fired. That's it. No more." And he says, "Well, I'm half Asian," or whatever he was, and I think he was. And he was a brilliant guy, great musician, and a good morning man. But I said, if I don't fire you, I'm going to get fired. You can't do that, and so I never thought twice about doing it. I just, I went into my boss's office and I'm going, he's got to go. And he said, yeah, do it. And that was it.
Ernesto says, hi guys, do you think radio is still important, or will it disappear like shortwave radio?
It's showing, there's some cracks, but it's still going really strong. People have been predicting the demise of, video killed the radio star, right? They've been predicting that for a long time.
Swede Savage, John, your take on Anvil Rock Band from Canada?
Never been a fan. I remember them, yeah. But that kind of heavy, people would say sometimes that there's holes in my judgment because there's some heavy rock band that I liked and other ones that didn't really hit me. And that's the case, I think, for everybody. And I'll say, well, I don't like really the heavier rock, and then I'll turn around and say, well, I like this. They'll go, well, I said, well, maybe I just don't like that band.
Let's see here. From Alan, will Peter Gabriel tour again?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. He seems to be in pretty good health. The album supposedly is finished. Mind you, I asked Tony Levin right after 9/11. I've said this many times on our live feeds. I was interviewing Tony Levin, and I said to him, when's the album going to be released? And he says, well, we never really know with Peter, right? And since then, he's released compilations and takes on things. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Fraser says, John, have you heard Protocol?
Yes, the new one, yeah.
Yeah.
John Zeka just interviewed Simon Phillips, who owns Protocol, and I said, John, have you interviewed Simon today yet? I know you're interviewing him today because for the Bobby Kimball documentary. And John's such a good guy. He says, I'm at his house right now. I'm going, can you please tell him that I texted him for an interview when Protocol's album came out, and I've got his cell phone number, but he never got back to me. He never even opened it, so chances are that's not his. I've never checked if that was the cell phone I have. But bottom line is that's how John got a hold of him, and I know that Simon's not mad at me or anything. So let's talk Protocol. Let's talk Toto. Let's talk everybody he's worked with. It's just Pete Townsend, Mike Rutherford. Just. Mike Oldfield, it's just never ending.
The Dreamer's Life says, it's hard when you always need to phrase your words correctly. Sometimes you can just not please everyone, and that's...
Well said. And email, for instance, we were talking about this when we started doing emails. Emails don't necessarily have tone unless you're a great writer. And emails meant to be fast. So you can say something sometimes, or you don't use the right comma. The big jokes on Facebook about comma. Or email. I know I'm talking about an email, not necessarily you're talking about talking on the air, but my big thing, I go to that of going, it doesn't have a tone to it. It's really, really hard.
Well, and especially even more so than email with text. That is huge. You have to really be, because people can take it so many different ways, right?
Yeah. So I remember I was having a political argument with someone. I'm not going to tell you what it was about because we don't do that anymore. But I was basically calling a mutual friend of ours. I said to him, well, that's not negotiable, right? I said both sides kind of agree on that. One side just doesn't care, and I said something to him, and he thought was that a comma problem? You didn't mean to say that to me, did you? I says, yeah, I pretty much meant to say that to you. But anyway, that's what happens. Are we almost wrapping it up?
We are.
It was fun today.
Yeah. What really fast here, Rock Child of the 60s. I think Peter Gabriel posted on Facebook this week about a new song or album and talks about concerts, but I can't remember exactly.
Like the album's supposedly, Tony Levin says the album's done. But the album's been done for a lot of years. Hi, Danica.
Oh, just 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah, we'll come back. Our autistic wonder.
The Dreamer's Life says, I am a very big fan of your channel because you know what you're talking about, and I respect your thoughts immensely.
Thank you. I know a lot of people wrote me a letter this week. There's two people because of what I said in a previous thing. And they both kind of said the same thing. They go, well, at least you don't have writers and stuff. And I'm going, there's nothing wrong with having writers. I know some of the big channels. I know they have writers because there's one particular channel. I know the guy who writes for this fairly popular. And I'm going, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, a good idea is a good idea no matter where it came from. And it doesn't make a guy less credible. I mean, I've used Jason Close as a writer for like 5 singers who died in plane crashes. That was you. That was you. That wasn't. But Jason Close wrote, and Shannon wrote some stuff, and that didn't make me any less of a broadcaster after 39 years, I would hope so. And they were saying, well, at least you write your own stuff. And I'm going, listen, thank you. I know you mean well by saying that, but there's not a rock show on TV or anything that's not done by And I have to double check everything I do before I do a video. Not this, obviously, because I'm on, you can make mistakes like that. So I just wanted to point that out because I know they meant well. They were just trying to say something nice to me. But some of the big channels have writers, and good for them that they can afford a writer because there's less mistakes that way, right? That's all I have to say about that.
Well, I guess we're going to wrap her up.
We're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone who, when I get really serious, I look at the camera. Green. Like when I get really like in the zone sometimes. No, but anyway, thanks for folks who checked us out tonight. You wore a really nice dress tonight. Thank you.
And look at you. You dress up quite lovely yourself.
Shannon used to dress like this to sell her houses, and she worked for a new home builder in Calgary.
I haven't worn dresses in a while.
She was just saying the other day,
nice.
I want to start wearing a nice dress, but she'd go off on her pantyhose and her high heels, and she'd go off in the car and sell $3 million houses that actually looked like $3 million houses, not like the house prices. You can pay $3 million for a house these days in a specific town and it'll look like a shack, but usually that doesn't happen.
Well, it was a lot of fun, I'll say that much.
Yeah, and now we're enjoying our life here, and hopefully we're doing really well with the live feed, so we're going to do a lot more of those, but we're still going to do just as many interviews. It's just been, I'm adjusting to not having Chase here working with me, right? So hopefully we'll make enough resources we can hire someone to do more editing for us because Chase just can't do it right now. So, love you guys.
Thank you so much.
Take incredibly good care of yourself. And here's, there's a finish button. Ooh, remember last week I was going, how do we shut this thing off?
So see you next Friday.
Take care. End broadcast.